It gives us a pride and privilege to host another hackathon of innovation, redefining innovation and creating exponential growth. GWFM has been doing it since last 3 years. This is going to be fourth edition with the help of hundreds of WFM folks around the world, with the help of mentors and following GWFM methodology to build new ideas, how new ideas can take you to the prototyping and experimenting and then empathizing it and finally creating the business model which you can showcase with a creative storytelling. Isn't that something interesting? GWFM is going to present this fourth year. We're so excited to have all of them around the world. We're going to be next 48 hours or live. Please watch us with the new innovations and brand new solutions for the new problems.
Sanjeev Jain is the COO of Wipro. Sanjeev has worked in people supply chain management and resource management and WFM, what we call, and he has managed huge portfolios in companies like Kyndryl, IBM, and Genpact, and many other places and even Cognizant. So Sanjeev is the best person to give complete insights and kick off the sessions with the inspiration and the setting the context. Sanjeev is going to talk about some of the insights on how innovation is happening in the industry. And some of you have questions that Sanjeev, I think a few of them have got some questions on what is the investment to make on the workforce management or in the WFM. So great to have your insights on that. Or to you, it gives us a great pleasure having you, Sanjeev, with us. Thank you so much for taking your time out besides the busy schedule. Great to have you.
Thanks, Shiva. Thanks, everyone. And good to start the day on a topic like innovation for a function like people supply chain, workforce management, talent supply chain, whatever you call it. See, to me, this has always been the heart of any of the services business for sure. When I say services business, it could be any industry. We keep saying, I think I shared earlier, skill is the currency. So what it means is this function is so pivotal to the business for meeting its outcomes, which is ultimately revenue and margin, that we should have the right skill at the right place at the right time, at the right cost. At least what I have seen is the function has been evolving significantly, but still we have a long way to go and catch up. And different companies have defined the function differently. But my request to you is whichever part of the organization you sit in, some of you may be sitting in HR, some of you may be sitting in operations, some of you may be sitting in the delivery, some of you may be sitting in the any other function, maybe possibly. But I think the entire ecosystem which drives the I would say, end of the day, the fulfillment of the open demands has to come together. And what do I mean by that? Because sometimes I have seen our workforce management functions are so siloed that a part of us will focus on bench management, a part of us will focus on campus or what we call the freshers intake. Some of us will focus on talent acquisition. Some of us on subcontractor, right? Some of us on skilling, some of us on mobility, and maybe some of us on planning, capacity planning, maybe. But I think it all has to come together. So the first message I would give you is whichever part of the business function you are in, make sure you align all your end-to-end demand to supply process and the stakeholders together. It does not mean everyone has to report or change the organization structure. It just means that person who is doing fulfillment has to have equal ownership for demand management. That means if it means that we need to talk to our stakeholders upstream, who are actually based on the client meetings or the account planning, they are actually raising the demands for fulfillment. And there are cases where demands are accurate, inaccurate, valid, invalid, inflated. right, depending on every organization's discipline and culture, I think there is this habit of having more demand so that something will get fulfilled. So make sure you are not just playing in your silo, but going upstream to get the demand equation right, and then working downstream with all your supply channels to get the supply right. And that is a big gap I have seen, and that is where I think a lot of innovation can happen, and which is very relevant for this session. So as you do your hackathons and some innovation sessions, the people supply chain is at the center of everything. So we should be able to connect the dots.
अरविंदर, हाँ बताया था मेरे को उसने, मेरे को हो गई मेरी डिस्कशन सौरभ से। हाँ हाँ हाँ।
Someone is speaking, I think. Guys, if you can go on mute, or if you have a question, please ask. Yeah, so I think what I was saying is just get the end-to-end processes, functions, teams together, and get more into planning if you're already not doing it. And that's what at least I am pushing in my role in Wipro, is more in terms of, can we get more proactive with planning? We are all sitting in June now. If some of you are working on demands for July, August, September, October, November, December, terrific. I think most of us are working on June and maybe July. That's not a good situation. I think the first point is get little more longer range planning, get into your strategy as to where you want to hire. And it could be a combination of internal, external channels as you would have defined in your company. So step one is, I think I would definitely like this function to pivot around more of planning and workforce strategy. After that, I think we should look at some things which I think are evolving very fast in the market today, which are around a lot of new things which I have come across. And maybe they were there, but maybe it's now being implemented. One is around what I feel is with the changing pace of skills, right? In a recent World Economic Forum, it was said that the half-life of skills is changing from 10 years to 4 years. What does it mean? It means that people possibly going into university in year one today, by the time they graduate, the skills will no longer be relevant. That is true for all of us included. That is true for our existing employees. We need to constantly upskill, and not only upskill people. I think a lot of us who have a skill taxonomy in the system, I think is getting obsolete or is needs to be refreshed. And I have come across this exercise on skill clustering, which of course is theoretically sounds interesting, sounds good, but somewhere I think we should implement this in our businesses, which is what we are trying to do. Because today the requirement is not for skill A or skill B, it is for skill A plus B plus C, right? So I think our skill taxonomies and skill clusters have to evolve. If you go to skill taxonomy, you will have thousands of skills in isolation, but I think we ultimately need a cluster of few hundred skills, which actually help us have more people having experience of back end, front end, middleware, everything together, a little bit of everything. People want everything full stack nowadays. So just think of what do you need to change in your systems to get more skill clusters rather than just the skills that have been defined very tightly in the past, because skill definition itself is changing. And along with skill clusters, what's equally important, and generally I think people supply chain does not look into, is what is the cost of that skill, right? What is the compensation of that skill in the market? And what is the rate card that we are using? I think we tend to be, again, very, very analytical into just in the silo. But end of the day, what we are doing should also help get us the value for money or the return on investment for the company. That also talks to the investment in WFM, the question, Shiva, you brought up. I think we should see if we are doing this, what can we do? Will it help us improve the rate realization, improve the skill premium that we deserve in the marketplace? Or do we, if we are paying, a lot of us are paying a premium for acquired talent because most of us are hiring, the skills at short notice. And we are all paying significantly higher. You are seeing, I'm sure you are seeing in your financials that the labor cost is going up. So somewhere we have to figure out how do we manage to still get the contribution margin for our companies to maintain the profitability. That's equally a people supply chain job. It's not just that we do fulfillment and we expect someone later on to do something and reduce the cost by taking some people actions. That's not helpful. So that was one which I wanted to talk about from a skill clustering and skill compensation and skill rate cards perspective. The other thing which I feel, which I am seeing significantly, is around this talent marketplace systems that are evolving. You would have heard of many tools in this space, and we have evaluated many of them. And you would have heard that we have gone live recently on Eightfold.ai. But again, there are many more. I'm not suggesting one is better than other. You can do your own evaluation, what works, or some of you may have your in-house tools. But the bottom line is the marketplace is a tool which actually uses AI a lot. So AI actually helps in matching your internal talent for the skills they have and with the demands, and provides kind of career path for associates in your company to apply for roles or to skill them to meet their career aspirations. So look at those dimensions, that are you as people supply chain providing a good insight or a good marketplace. One is to your employees, who can democratically look at what are the open roles within your company versus going on LinkedIn and applying outside your company, to see what are the existing jobs, and if they have career aspirations, how can they get to that job, and if they have to get upskilled, where can they go to upskill within your company. The second persona for us should be the account teams or the hiring managers, for even them to have a good visibility into what is the current inventory of skills that we have in our company, and what could they do to attract talent internally versus just going externally to hire. I think these are things I think will absolutely change the game to technologically intervene. I know we all do it in pockets, but for large companies with hundreds of thousands of people, it's very difficult to manage it on relationship basis. Therefore, we need systems to enable us to drive employees to their desired roles and managers to uh, lead to the employees who have the skills that they want to attract. So create like a mini LinkedIn for your organization, and then constantly update their profiles based on employees, what skilling they are going through or what projects they are handling. So pretty good tools in the marketplace. I would say strongly recommend you to at least look at them to learn the art of the possible. Whether you invest or not is again subject to your appetite, but nothing wrong in knowing what's happening in this marketplace. So these are two things I wanted to share as specific examples, which I feel we are definitely driving and feel there is a lot of value to be realized in those. Uh, Finally, I would say that sometimes we feel that operations jobs, workforce management, people supply chain, all that is I know it's a painful job. I know it's a stressful job. I know it's a lot of effort goes in with very less appreciation at times. Maybe this function is always in the fire for fighting something, yesterday, day before yesterday, or even today morning as we are speaking. But I can tell you that at the highest levels in the companies, this is really the most respected function. People expect a lot from this, and my role is a testimony to that. I have been doing this operations, people supply chain for a long time. And you can see that even me as the chief operating officer, actually, this is something that will be close to me as one of the key focus areas. So the point I'm making is this is where the mind and the heart meets, right? The mind thinks what is to be done, what is right for the company to meet its top line and bottom line. And heart is where, we have employees who are ultimately the talent, and the skill is the currency. So we have to get both these equations meet. And there is no better place than this function, which actually helps meet, both of these. In fact, some of you would know Shri from EY. And I had a privilege of having a session with him for my leadership team. And one thing that stuck to me, which I wanted to share with this group also, he said this function should think like we are almost like the goddess Lakshmi and goddess Saraswati. and which was very, very kind of to me motivating and inspiring. And why he said that was, he said Goddess Lakshmi because this is the role that gives people their jobs on bench, or people who are looking to join the companies. We are the ones who actually decide how much to hire, where to hire, if you are bench, where to place. So I think we actually help people get their roles and therefore salaries, etc. And then why goddess Saraswati? Because she's the goddess of knowledge. So this is a role which decides who has to be skilled in what and enable that skilling. So I would say, guys, think of this role as a very, very significant role, even if you get beaten up every day, which is the nature of the role. But I think take it very, very positively, take it with a lot of passion and energy. And I've been always recommending, make sure you are listening to all your earnings of your company, because most of the earnings will reflect what this function is doing, good or bad. I think that's the ultimate bottom line for us. If the company's top line, bottom line is improving, this function is doing something good. If it's not improving, this function has a lot of opportunity to do better. I will pause here for any questions, team. I think the message was clear, and really look forward to good innovative solutions coming out of this hackathon and in the next couple of days.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Well, very insightful. Any of you have any questions? I think there's one of the company's leaders was asking question on the investment on WFM. What should the investment normally, and any ideas and any thoughts on around that, Sanjeev?
Yeah. See, the investment is absolutely a function of return on investment. First of all, we all know that. So even for us, when we had to invest in some of the technology solutions, we have to think hard by this investment, what will reduce or what will pay for it. Will my fulfillment time reduce, therefore giving me higher billing days? Will my headcount reduce in the function because now I'm automating a lot of activities? And by reducing headcount is not a bad thing. We can actually move from a lot of operational work to strategic work for the teams that we have. So I think it's you have to evaluate. It's not just for the fun of investing that companies invest, like any other ROI. We have to justify what we do.
Great. Thanks, Sanjeev. Any of you have any questions to Sanjeev?
Hi, Sanjeev. This is Krishnan this side. Thank you so much for the insights. So overall, as you said, that every 4 years, the life cycle of any skill has now reduced to 4 years. And one of the biggest challenges is that if you take a fresher, when I say fresher, I don't mean somebody who's a new gen associate or who's just come out of the education system, but how do we look at skilling talent that has been with us and keep this 4 year cycle into place, and be able to what time do we look at people to reskill them again? Is that a 2 year mark, or 3 year mark, or do we say, okay, fine, at least every 4 years a person then needs to do a rotation, vertically or horizontally, to maybe learn a new skill? What is the best time to start this, so that when is it towards the end of the life cycle, or do we start looking at maybe a 2 year mark where we say, okay, fine, it's time to maybe rotate or maybe learn a new skill?
Yeah, so Krishan, a couple of things that I would address for this good question. See, one is from an employee standpoint. We need to make sure we are making this process employee driven. Okay, it is not that if Krishan tells people have to move. No, I think to me we can create some guardrails or some guidelines for every company where you can say that if you have completed 2 years or 3 years in the current role, you are possibly eligible for rotation. But when you're eligible for rotation, you figure out where you want to go based on your career interest, right? That's what happens in life for us, all of us. Of course, sometimes managers are there to help, but most of the times, a lot of us would have taken interest in a particular area, and then we would have figured out our career path in that area. So one is, I think we should create that, I would say, the guidelines where we let people decide what they want to do and then enable that. So how do we enable that? I think that is where we can create some processes where we can make it visible for employees, as I was telling, what are the various career paths within the company. Second is what are the various learning paths available. I think our skilling teams, learning teams have to do a lot of work in the back end to look at it, look at the skills that are changing, right? The skills marketplace. So there are skills marketplaces also where they need to know and define the skills which are emerging skills, declining skills, and then start providing content or learning programs for the skills which are emerging, right? I think somewhere I feel that that function is also very reactive, where we would actually wait for a client to tell our account what skill they need, and we'll go back and kind of create that skilling plan. I think that doesn't work. So we have to be proactively looking in the industry and the trends and create a skilling pathway. And also from an employee perspective, create those paths for employees to reach those skilling pathways. I hope I'm making sense, Vishan. So, and then I think to me, the more it's employee driven, and I'm sure you will have resistance. We have resistance in our company where our managers don't want to release people, or even our supply chain teams also are sitting on the fence. We are not clear whether we should support the manager or the employee because we want to be nice to everyone at times. So I think somewhere, I think all of us have to create a simple path and tell employees it's your career and remove the roadblocks that an employee faces in their journey for career. And if we don't do that, what I am seeing is also nothing stops employees from going out, which is what they're doing anyway. If you do your own attrition analysis, you will feel that you could have saved a lot of employees by giving them alternate roles within the company versus letting them go outside. So I hope I'm able to explain that whether it's 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, every employee is on a different skill path, different trajectory, different personal requirements in their life. So we have to just enable them to meet their career aspirations. That's why I said this is the role of kind of us to provide those pathways to our employees.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev, for the insights. Thanks. Just makes sense that it's very important for us to proactively build up skills and forecast skills that we would require, and how we can manage the internal talent pool wherever the difference is. So definitely the two-pronged approach that makes sense. Thank you so much for that. Cheers.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Any other questions?
There was one question on the chat from Tim. Yeah, Tim, I think there are multiple technologies for planning and resource management. I think enough and more is available. I'm sure Shiva and group are possibly you should consolidate, Shiva, what all is available in the marketplace. There are SAP tools available. There are Oracle tools available. There are startups, a lot of startups in this ecosystem who are actually a lot of them. And for example, we have looked at something called Profinder. We have looked something called Spire, something called Prism Force, SAP also. And then we looked at Ageful.ai, as I said. This is what we looked at. I'm sure there is Edge Networks also. So there are many, many available. Depends on your current requirement, and you can do an RFP and you can get a lot more folks to apply. And I would say this is a real hot space.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Any other questions?
Shiva and team, good luck. Congratulations.
Yes.
As always. Really happy to meet this team and feel good that you have created this community for the people supply chain families to come together. You guys keep sharing. I have a lot of expectation from this community. This is what makes or breaks a lot of supply chains.
Absolutely.
Was the talent landscape. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sanjeev. It's really privileged to have you. Sanjeev, I have a question. A few of the team members were asking how any company can bring in innovation. How do they start innovation in the organization? Maybe, they're playing a mediocre role in the organization. How do they start? What do they start? And some insights on that.
Yeah, see, there is nothing, no shop which is selling innovation that you can buy and say you start, right? So I think innovation have to be driven within. I would say whoever is asking the question, they should ask themselves, what are they doing to innovate in their roles, first of all? Yeah. So the point I feel in innovation is we think that there could be some function, strategy function, transformation function. Someone will do something, someone will launch some program, and then we will go and be part of it. See, that's the attitude which has to change significantly. We should actually say, hey, I think we can disrupt this by doing this. And therefore make a business case, go to your teams, create a return on investment. I think somewhere, and again, I may be more critical than I should be, but I do it to exaggerate the point, that somewhere I think I have seen the folks in some of the functions like ours are on the fence. We need to take a more aggressive, proactive approach to say, I think I can do this job better by disrupting, by getting this, rather than waiting for someone somewhere to do something for this function. We should not be at the mercy of anything. We should be the ones driving the change and making a business case. And believe me, I think your CFOs, your CIOs currently are very, very eager to invest in such technologies. We should also ask ourselves, right? A simple question. We keep hearing about AI, Gen AI, etc. How many of you have even done any course to understand what it is and then looked at some of the use cases which can be applied in our function? We should ask ourselves. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to do more on that. So somewhere I think the same thing applies to us. Half-life of skills applies to our function also. It's not that it is for others. I think if we are not constantly reinventing ourselves, we are also obsolete, right? I just want us to be clear that skill, even people supply chain or managing workforce strategy, capacity planning is also a skill. It's not that skill is only Java and other languages. So
Absolutely, Sanjeev, very well said. I think today and tomorrow we're going to have 100 plus innovators and hackers. I'm sure that we will have a good number of business cases, and then frameworks and strategies are going to come in. And thank you so much for taking your time to address the team. And it's really a great kickoff. And we inaugurate the Innovation Hackathon 4.0 here. And privileged to have you here, Sanjeev. And certainly, once all the hackathon is done, we will, and I'll myself personally going to share you the book that we're going to create, that the 4.0 book. This is the fourth book. With this, we're going to have at least 60 to 70 of new business cases, which we don't get it from any other sources. All these are created by the innovators and the WFM champions.
Excellent. Sure. I look forward to all that, and I hope people are adapting the best practices shamelessly across the companies. I think that's no point in having a lot of use cases in the books unless they are implemented. So
Absolutely.
Definitely look forward to receiving that Shiva and implementing it as well.
Sure.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sanjeev.